The moment the words left my mouth, my entire future seemed to tremble like a house built on sand. I was standing at the edge of everything I owned, everything I loved, and everything I feared losing, knowing that without a child, my life as I knew it would collapse. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding with the terrifying awareness that some dreams don't fade quietly, they demand a price, and sometimes that price is your soul. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us what it means to be human, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. My name is Jonathan Miller, and my life unfolded in a quiet town outside Charleston, South Carolina, where old oak trees lined the streets and memories clung to every corner. For years, my wife Rebecca and I tried to build a family. We tried with prayers whispered at night, doctor visits that drained our savings, and hope that refused to die even when logic told us it should. Rebecca was my anchor, my calm in the chaos, but life can be cruel in ways no one prepares you for. She passed away after a sudden illness, leaving behind a house full of silence and dreams that would never be fulfilled through her. I thought grief was the worst thing I could endure, until I discovered what her absence would cost me beyond my heart. Rebecca's family owned a century-old estate and business, a place that had employed half the town for generations. The will was painfully clear: the estate would remain under my control only if there was an heir. No child meant the property would be transferred to distant relatives who had never set foot in the town, people who saw the land as numbers instead of history. Losing it meant losing the home where Rebecca laughed, the porch where we planned our future, and the livelihoods of dozens of families who depended on the business. I tried to fight it legally, morally, spiritually, but the condition stood firm. Without a baby, I would lose everything. That's when Margaret Collins entered my life, not as a villain, but as an unexpected gatekeeper of fate. She was Rebecca's older cousin, a woman shaped by years of sacrifice, disappointment, and quiet resilience. Margaret had never married, never had children, and lived alone in a modest home in Ohio before moving south after Rebecca's death. She was calm, observant, and carried her faith like a shield rather than a weapon. When I confessed my desperation, my fear, and my willingness to do anything to keep Rebecca's legacy alive, she didn't respond with sympathy or judgment. Instead, she offered me a condition that would change us both forever. Margaret believed that life was not something to be negotiated selfishly. She believed children were not solutions to problems but souls entrusted by God. Her condition was simple yet terrifying: if I wanted her help in securing the inheritance and guiding me through legal alternatives, I would have to foster a child who truly needed a home, with no guarantees and no exit plan. It wouldn't be temporary, and it wouldn't be for appearances. I would have to open my heart fully, even if it broke me again. If I failed, she would walk away, and the estate would be lost. I agreed, not because I was brave, but because I was desperate. The foster system introduced me to realities I had only seen from a distance: children carrying grief heavier than their small frames, eyes that had learned not to trust, and silence that screamed louder than words. That's how I met Noah Thompson, a 6-year-old boy from North Carolina with storm gray eyes and a history of abandonment that made him flinch at kindness. He barely spoke when he arrived, clutching a small backpack like it was the last thing tethering him to the world. The early days were brutal in ways no one warns you about. Noah woke up screaming at night, hid food under his bed, and stared at the door as if expecting me to disappear like everyone else. I questioned myself constantly, wondering if I had mistaken desperation for purpose. Margaret visited often, not to interfere, but to observe quietly, reminding me through her presence that faith was proven through endurance, not words. Slowly, painfully, something began to shift. Noah started sitting closer to me on the couch. He laughed one afternoon when I burned pancakes, a sound so unexpected it brought tears to my eyes. Months passed, and the house began to breathe again. The walls echoed with small footsteps and bedtime prayers spoken softly under a dim lamp. I stopped seeing Noah as a condition and started seeing him as a miracle wrapped in brokenness. The legal battle over the estate continued, but it no longer defined me. What defined me was the way Noah reached for my hand in crowded places, the way he looked at me like I was his safe place in a frightening world. Then life tested us again. A routine medical check revealed complications from Noah's past neglect, requiring long-term care and expenses that threatened my financial stability. The estate hung in the balance once more. Old fears resurfaced, whispering that love alone wouldn't be enough. But something inside me had changed. I chose Noah without hesitation, even if it meant losing the house, the business, and the last physical pieces of Rebecca's memory. For the first time, my choice wasn't driven by fear of loss, but by love. Margaret watched this transformation quietly. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees and the house glowed with a warmth it hadn't known in years, she revealed that her condition had never been about control. She had already restructured her portion of the inheritance months earlier. The true test was never about having a baby, it was about becoming a father. She believed Rebecca would have wanted the legacy to live through compassion, not bloodlines. The court ruling arrived weeks later, confirming that the estate would remain under my stewardship, not because of technicalities, but because the business board and community testified to the home I had built for a child who had none. Noah was officially adopted shortly after, his name forever linked with mine, not by obligation, but by choice. Before this story ends, take a moment to comment below and tell us where you're watching from, or share a thought about family, faith, or second chances. Today, when I watch Noah ride his bike down the same driveway where Rebecca once stood dreaming of children, I understand that God doesn't always answer prayers the way we expect. Sometimes He answers them through conditions that force us to grow, to love deeper, and to surrender control. I didn't just gain a child, I gained a purpose that outlived my fear. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that love can be born from brokenness, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps keep these stories alive, and your kindness might be the second chance someone else is praying for.